Good morning, afternoon, wherever you're from. This is the Corbino. Welcome to a reaction video for Marvel Studios' and Legend of the Ten Rings. Shang Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Sorry for mispronouncing that. This is my dad here. He went to see the movie with me. He's here to help me break it down through the theories and the reactions, and so I don't get messed up. And alright, well, let's hop right into it. What was your initial reaction to the movie?
I enjoyed the movie. Thought it was a great movie. The cinematography was excellent. Storyline was good, and so Shang Chi was one of the comic books I did not read growing up. Read a lot of comic books, but that was not one of them. So it was actually pretty neat to get to learn a new superhero and kind of see that whole story. So I thought it was really well done.
Well, I'll have to say this is one of my top five favorite Marvel movies. Only because of, if you like Jackie Chan or Bruce Lee, if you've seen any kind of that fighting type, this movie is heavily inspired by those fighting types. When we went to the Alamo Cinema, and before we went there, they had some video playing showing all these Japanese films that it took inspiration from. It was pretty neat how that went on.
Shameless plug for the Alamo, by the way. If you haven't been to the Alamo for a movie experience, you got to try it. Excellent theater. The seats are super comf, reclining, and the food's outstanding. So go Alamo.
This isn't a advertisement, but we totally do recommend that movie theater if you do have one near you. For my initial reactions to the movie, I feel like I said, top five. Especially for this one. And you want to start talking spoilers?
Yeah. So we can. What kind of spoilers? What are we talking about?
Let's do it from beginning to end.
All right, you start it.
So in the beginning of the movie, I'm pretty sure that he had flashbacks of the Mandarin. Yeah, I think his name was like Wen Wu, who was Shang-Chi's father, and he had the rings, and he was dominating the world for like thousands of years. So apparently, if you did not know that this guy, apparently because of the power of his rings, he can live for like thousands of years without dying because it gives him infinite loop of life.
But I have a question about this. So if he can live for thousands of years without dying, but yet from the time the movie started till the time that we see him, he has aged. So apparently there is some progression of age that is going on here. So just a thought.
Well, I don't know. They never discussed it in the movie, but this guy's got to die sometime. Everybody's got to die sometime. Our days are numbered, and I mean you can't really control that. But moving on, he was. It was like in the 1996 era, I think. He went to go find some village over in, where was it, like Japan or something? Could have been. But I forgot I think it was like Xia Ling or something, was this lady who was a part of this village, and she had like these wind powers, and she was like the only person who could beat this guy with like, because his rings are like super powerful. He could like shoot lasers, do boosts, and shield himself, and all these other things. But apparently, they end up getting married, and they have two kids.
Babies. Yeah. So apparently, he was thrown off by her good looks, and she appreciated the fight with him so much, and so they made this dynamic duo. And brought Shang Li and his sister into the world.
Shang-Chi.
That's what I meant, Shang-Chi. and so they came into the world, and so hence kind of how the story begins.
And here we have, I had the Funko Pop from a while ago. Shang-Chi right there. I'm not going to try to do no unboxing because this is strictly about the movie. But Shang-Chi and his friend Katie are valet parkers for some hotel, I think. Yeah, they are valet parkers. And that's how we first off see them in the movie. and they like to do karaoke apparently a lot. And yeah,
Yeah.
they did a few songs in the beginning, but they also did one towards the end. We'll talk about that later once we get to the post-credit scenes. But
They have good chemistry. Like they work off of each other really good, and Katie's a really good comedy relief, a great addition to the to the storyline
Yeah.
there.
she was pretty funny in most of her parts. But I think they were friends from earlier in their childhood, and she does not know about his backstory. But we'll get to that in like a minute or so. And excuse me. Sorry. Let me think. They have these conversations with this person, these two people from their childhood, apparently, and they were talking about how they need to like move on with their lives and like get jobs or whatever. And apparently, when he has like this heirloom that they gave him in the beginning of the movie, him and his sister, Shang Chi,
Like a medallion.
yeah, kind of like a medallion, but from the trailers, there's been like an advertised bus scene where they like fight and all these other interesting things. That was probably one of the crowning moments of the movie for action.
Yeah, epic action scene for sure.
Yeah.
Lots of cool camera angles, and cool viewpoints to make that scene pretty unique. So it was an excellent movie.
And
Addition to the movie.
And in that part, one guy was like live streaming it, and that's how. Well, we'll get to that in a second. But after that, Shang-Chi tells Katie that basically he was not who she knew he was, and she got all like ticked off about it. She's like, why'd you not tell me, and all these other things. And so he apparently thinks that he had a postcard from his sister to go to this fight club in somewhere in Japan. And so that's where they go on the plane.
First rule about Fight Club: you don't talk about Fight Club.
Yeah. Yeah, and they go there to the fight club in like Japan. His sister built like an entire fight club after Shang-Chi was sent. Well, there's this thing called the Ten Rings organization that apparently his father has been over for many years, and he was trained from a very young age at like 7, I'm pretty sure they said, and he was sent at 14 on his first hit job to kill the person that killed Shang-Chi's mother. And we learned that he did not, well, he did go on with it. He said that in the very end, closer to the end of the movie. But he said he wanted to change his name and all these other things that help progress the story. But we get to see Abomination and Wong from Doctor Strange that are in the Fight Club. Anything else you want to say?
Essentially, he was raised to be a kung fu assassin, and decided to go on his own. He didn't want to live under his father's rule in his father's shadow, and he wanted to try to redeem himself after he made the mistake of kind of carrying out that first hit job. Right, he had a lot of weight and burden that he was carrying, guilt most likely from that, and so he wanted to live his life in a different way than his dad wanted him to live. And so his sister also, one of the cool kind of arcs in the story is his sister kind of lived in the shadow of his brother. His dad put a lot of emphasis on raising up his brother and training, or raising up his son and training his son, and then his sister, all of her kung fu action skills came from her observation and her own training, and so she became a unique fighter because of her own initiative and desire, to have her father's affirmation, which I think she didn't really receive. And so I think that probably plays into what we see towards the end of the movie, which we'll talk about in theories in just a minute. But really, really neat story.
As we progress from that, they get found by his father, and they get like, so apparently Shang-Chi's sister has like this special right hand man who kind of runs the club along with her, and he's kind of like in there a little bit, but he's not really there. but that's not really important. But they end up finding him and his sister, and they try to find the heirlooms around their necklaces because apparently that's an. Well, we'll get to that in a second, but they had this like entire scene where they're like on the edge of a building. Where I mean, this is another one of the crowning fight sequences from this movie, but they are on the side of a building with like they're kind of still building it. Do you know where, like, on the construction, where it's kind of like, well, I don't know, something like that.
They're still constructing the building, and so there's a lot of scaffolding that's on the side of the building. And Shang-Chi and his sister Shang-Chi's friend, that's a girl. They're trying to escape, and so they get on the side of the building, and all these henchmen come after them, and then there's this big epic fight scene where they're jumping from side to side and up and down and all this stuff. And so basically, what happens is they're trying to steal these little medallions that Shang-Chi and his sister both have that they wear around their necks. And so they're trying to get these medallions because what we find out a little bit later is that these medallions actually serve as dragon eyes in this statue. These dragon eyes help to reveal a map that to the secret place where Shang-Chi's mother was from, that her dad is trying to get to, because her dad believes that the people in this village are holding his wife hostage. Even though she died, he believes that she's being held hostage behind this wall and this gate. And so he wants to get those medallions so they can find the map, and then that he can go there and either get his wife by going to the gate, or he can take it by force and like burn down the city. And so what we see is that Shang-Chi and his sister, after being presented with this with their dad, there's a little reluctance from Shang-Chi and his sister to be able to actually help his dad, because they don't believe that this is true. Like, they believe that mom's dead, and that dad thinks that she can come back, but it's not going to happen. And so what happens is dad, like, he's committed to this thing. He's convinced that mom is behind this gate, and so he's going to move heaven and earth in order to make this happen. And so Shang-Chi and his sister, they go to find the place to warn them and let them know that that he's coming, because he's kind of a big deal. He's got these 10 rings that give him all this power, and there's no power in this man will come against him. And so what they do, they go before them, and they get to this really unique and mystic place. It's got all these kind of weird animals and all this cool dragons and kind of stuff like that. And so they start to prepare for Shang-Chi's dad to come, and then they come rolling up one of the cool kind of things is the Mandarin that was held prisoner at Shang-Chi's dad. The Mandarin in this weird little looks like a pillow pet.
Yeah,
that's from the place. They helped to lead them.
Don't forget that guy from Iron Man 3, the actor that was originally playing the Mandarin from. Well, he said that when his father said that the Mandarin wasn't even his name. They made up that name for to cause threats for terrorists in America. So he was captured. Well, there was a little Disney short film that kind of led up to this, but he was captured and brought to this place to get executed. But another funny part was he right before he got executed, he had like some little, cause he's an actor, and he had some little skit or whatever. And he said he does that like once every week to keep him alive. And yeah, that's what I wanted to add. You can keep going.
Yeah, they were going to try to kill him off, but they enjoyed his acting so much that he was allowed to stay alive by doing, it's like Shakespeare or something like that he was actually able to stay alive. But anyway, they get to this place and they warn the people, and then Shang Li's dad ends up coming in with all his henchmen, and they try to take things by force, and then Shang Li's dad ends up making it to the gate, and he starts with the 10 rings, with the power of the 10 rings. He starts beating the gate, and the power of the gate starts to lose its strength. And meanwhile, he's hearing his wife's voice saying, "Save me, rescue me," but it's actually this serpent that's behind the gate that is utilizing her voice to try to get himself free, because he knows, the serpent knows that the only way he's getting free is by the power of the 10 rings. And so he's hitting the gate, and then Shang Li and his dad are like, "Hey, you want to fight?" He's like, "Yeah, you want to take me on?" And then they start fighting and stuff to try to figure out, to try to save the people in the village, or to prevent from this bad thing happening, because once that serpent's out, it's going to be hard to get that serpent back in. And then there's this epic battle, and Shang Li gets busted into the water, and he goes into the water, and he starts to have all these flashbacks and everything, and then all of a sudden he goes nose to nose and is face to face with this underwater dragon, and he's like, "Oh man!" And then he gets all this energy, and he comes back up, and then he's like, "Come on, Dad, you want to fight?" And his dad's like, "Yeah, bring it." And then they start fighting, and there's this epic fight that's going on, and it turns out that the serpent ends up busting out of the gate, and then the dad's like, "Here, take my rings." And then Shang Li gets the rings, and then he's got the power of the 10 rings, and so then he's fighting against this serpent, and the dragon starts helping out, and come to find out that this serpent sucks the souls out of dragons and other people, and that's how he gets stronger, is by these souls being fed back to him, and it's like this really big thing. And then all the people are trying to help take out this. And anyway, it was a big story, a lot of things going on, and I'm sure there's a lot of things that we missed, but man, it was a action packed, to say the least.
Well, yeah, this arc of the story of his mother trying to go to get the 10 rings to go to this village was completely hidden from the trailers and the advertisements with these soul-sucking demon dragons, or whatever you want to call them. But yeah, they was completely hidden from the trailers. I'm glad that I did not read any spoilers. I've been waiting like three weeks after release to see this, and I'm glad that I did not stick to any spoilers, because just keep it fresh in my mind and to be surprised by everything I'm seeing.
Yeah, and I'm 45, and I didn't read any of the articles, and I didn't have any spoilers, so I went in with absolutely zero understanding what was going on. So, but it was a great movie. It's fascinating. The fight sequences were outstanding. There's some things in the storyline I'd like to go back and revisit to try to get a better understanding of. But I love the Asian culture. The scenery is absolutely beautiful. The culture and the people were really fascinating. And so I think it added to the kind of the brilliance of the cinematography and everything that was going on. Hey, so let's talk about some theories about how everything was ending. What happened at the post-credit scenes?
Well, okay, let me just get you up to speed on the post-credit scenes if you've already seen this movie. Well, I don't even... Well, good for you. If you have not seen this movie, I don't even know why you're here. This is a spoiler review. And, I mean, if you really don't want to be spoiled, then I'd get out of here right about now. But and during the first post-credit scene, Wong from Doctor Strange, he comes and collects Shang-Chi and Katie, which is his friend. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Captain Marvel and the Hulk are also on this holographic Star Wars phone call, and Wong gets he does some things with his hand, and it shows the rings, and it does some little thing where it zooms in, and it showed when it was last used, it used a beacon of some kind of sorts, and he said that, and he was starting to ask Shang-Chi a bunch of questions, and he asked how long his dad had the rings, and he said about 1,000 years. But come to find out that he said these rings were way older than that, an artifact of the ancient times or something. And
yeah, they were sending out a signal of some sort, some kind of a beacon signal of some sort, and so they were saying who had the rings before your dad, because there's emitting some kind of a signal, so that was kind of interesting. I guess spoiler or not spoiler, but a theory as to where things are headed with that.
Yeah, and then at the end of that, they went to karaoke and sung Hotel California. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Well, a theory, Moon Knight is apparently supposed to be dealt with Egyptian and ancient gods, or like some mummies or some kind of sorts. I don't know how Moon Knight could fit into there, but I mean,
But it needs to happen. Moon Knight's pretty awesome. We need a Moon Knight.
there's a TV show coming out on Disney Plus in 2022, is what I've heard. And they've already had some suit leaks, and Oscar Isaac is going to be playing that character. And it could lead into that, but there's also Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness happening, and that's a movie coming out in March of 2022. And seeing that Wong has been a part of this, I was wondering if Shang Chi could possibly make an appearance in there, but on top of everything else that's in that movie, I'm pretty sure it's a cluttered movie as it is, just like Spider-Man No Way Home. That's a huge movie. I don't know how they're going to pull that off, but...
Well, let's talk about the second post-credit scene.
Well, with that post-credit scene, that one kind of sets up a Shang-Chi 2, or possibly another little spin-off with the, so it picks up right after, with Shang-Chi's sister and that Razor Fist guy that, well, you get the idea, but, so we see her at that base that we've seen throughout the movie where the Ten Rings are at, basically, and we see that Shang-Chi's dad has died due to that soul-sucking dragon. Yeah, basically it did like something like that for dramatic effect. Obviously it took a much longer, but we see that she takes the throne of the Ten Rings, but she's also revamping it to make it look like a lot more modern. But it looks like she's rebuilding the family business of the Ten Rings organization. But we don't know if she's going to be using it for good or if she's going to be using it for bad. But I guess we'll have to be looking for that sometime in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it kind of, it goes to her in her room, and she's looking at a picture of her mom, and then the big, ginormous German type with an interchangeable arm guy, he comes in and says that they're ready, and they go outside, and you see all these warriors that are training. The interesting part is a lot of the warriors were females that it showed in the first part, and then it kind of spanned out and had a whole lot of others, and so it kind of makes you wonder if Shang Li and his sister are going to go in two different directions, because they're not saying that there was anything sinister that was going on, but it kind of seemed that she was going to go in a different direction than where he was going to go with this, and so she's raising up a group of warriors for some reason. So we'll see how this goes, and if there's going to be a conflict, a family conflict, perhaps that could occur from this.
But I think this could all be leading to something way bigger than just a family conflict.
Could be a world cosmic conflict.
Maybe Secret Wars.
Could be.
I don't know. That movie's probably going to be pretty big when it comes out. But I can guarantee you that Shang-Chi's probably going to be part of it.
Yep. I concur.
Well, that's all we have for today. We have concluded our review and theories for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. We hope to do this again sometime, and, well, we wish you, God bless you, and have a great one.
Have an amazing week. We give the movie 2 thumbs up. We would recommend you seeing it also, and we hope you guys have a wonderful week, and we hope to see you soon. Have a great week. Go Braves.
All right, let's go.